Hey, I want to welcome you today for this live show, and this is episode 58. Yeah, pretty amazing myself. The fact that we got to actually episode 58 itself. And today's topic, what I'm going to be sharing with you about is more of a question. And the question is, will you be working till you die? Hey, this is Melvin here on the Melvin Live Show. And thank you so much for being here with me. And today I want to share with you a story first. Today I was reading up on a few stories on the internet. And one of the story that really caught my eye was a story of this 33-year-old chap. And the story about him goes something like this. He used to be working like 12 hours in his company. I mean, this is a company that he owns. He used to work 12 hours in this company. And after a while, like most of us, you kind of get fed up with it and you want to find a way to move on. And so, the whole idea was that he came across this quote by Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett says that if you can't earn while you're sleeping, then you're going to work till the day you die. Now, we're going to preface that with the fact that Warren Buffett is probably the most celebrated investor ever. That said, he is still working. I do not know how old he is, but he is still working right now. And I believe that to be true. However, the thing is that he chose to work, whereas what he was referring to was if you do not find a way to make the money works for you, then what's going to happen is you are going to be working till the day you die. Now, that is different from saying that, well, I choose to make myself economically active and want to be able to contribute to the community. That's something entirely true. So this guy, he went from working 12 hours a day and getting really fed up and coming across this quote, and he said that, well, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. So what happened was he, like most people, he turned to the internet and he came across suppliers from China producing some kind of an inflatable deck chair. And so he thought it was quite a cool idea. And so he decided to buy this deck chair from the Chinese manufacturer at, I think, like $4.99. And he was selling it at $49.99. And so he was making a killing, right? And what's even more interesting was, in order for him not to be involved in the shipping and all that tedious process itself, he decided to get the supplier to ship directly to the customer for him. And so he doesn't have to touch the inventory at all. So that's what they call drop shipping. Then later on, of course, he got screwed by the supplier because they started, instead of sending across the approved and the agreed upon model, they shipped something else which was crappy and it was horrible, and complaints starts coming in. And of course, he needs to address the those issues if he wants to stay in business. And so that was what led him to rethink his business model. And he got to the point where he needed to take out a warehouse, hired a few people to be part of this fulfillment process itself. And now I think he's making $1 million a year, at least, just through that online shopping platform itself. And so that I mean, I was just reading about stories, and I'm always fascinated by the fact that there are people who actually make it selling nothing but digital products or leveraging the internet. And so what I want to do was I wanted to share with you this 1%, 1 million all digital solution, which is what I'm after. And so today I want to share with you this this thing, and I like to share with you some of these things that I have here that I'd like to show you, right? So so this is the presentation that I prepared for you, and I'd just like to walk you through itself. So this is the quote by Warren Buffett, right? If you don't find a way to make money when you sleep, you will work until you die. And of course, that is reality of things for most people, because most people would not be able to have some kind of income without working, right? So like, for example, for myself, when I first started, I thought I was running a business, but what in fact I had was a job, because the moment I stopped working, the money stopped, and that sucked, right? So what you really want to know is how do you do that? But before we get to that, I'd like to show you some things here. Now, there is this concept that I think many of you would know. Just in case some of you are not aware, this concept is called life expectancy at birth, which means we kind of, by estimate, guess the average age that people within this age group, how long they will live till. And of course, these are estimation, but the estimation is pretty accurate here. And so I got some figures to show you, and I think they're quite interesting. First, let's look at the US of A. America, of course, life expectancy. I'm looking at 1970, 1975. So people born around that time, 1970, 1975, which is about my age, they are expected to live till 71 years old. But for people who are at my children's age, they are expected to live till 78 years of age, which is not a lot more. I mean, it's only 7 years more, right? So that's for the US. Now for Germany, it's a little better. Germany, it starts at 71 and it ends at 80. So it's about 9 years, which is slightly better than the folks at US. And let's look at Japan. Japan, it's even better, probably because of the diet, and I don't know, Japanese just seems to have a way with life, right? So it starts off at 73 and it ends off at 83. So it's like an increase of 10 years. But check out Singapore. So Singapore itself, it's very, I would say, very unique, because we started off as a sleepy fishing village way back in the 19th century. And because of foresight, because of what has happened, we were able to go from third world to first world, at least in terms of GDP per capita. Now, what's interesting here is that in a short period of about 30 years, Singapore has grown from being I would say, being someone who is always catching up to where we are at now, where we sometimes get seen as a benchmark for other countries itself, which is a great thing. And let's see how it pans out in terms of life expectancy, right? So it's 69 to 82, which means people around my age, right? It's expected it's about 69. Increase is 82, and so we have an increase about 13 years. Now, 13 years, if you take 13 years and if you say that, well, I need at least 5,000 a month, right? $5,000 a month to get by because of medical, because of food, because of lodging, and all that. Assuming, right? Let's say we take a figure of $5,000 a month. So a year you would need 60,000, and for 13 years you would need a staggering 780,000. Now that's a lot of money, right? And so truly, if we do not find a way to not just earn an income, but to be able to accumulate wealth, then I think this is going to be quite painful for most of us. And so that's why I'm embarking on this whole idea of one person, 1 million, all things digital. But first thing first, let's talk about why digital, right? Because I mean, there are so many things that I could do, but why digital? And let me tell you the truth here. I think digital is the lever, right? Digital is the lever. And you would agree that in this current context itself, where we talked about the new norm, where we talked about the way things are going, definitely digital is going to be the way. I mean, I have been conducting training, facilitation, consulting online via Zoom, via Skype, and all that good stuff. And initially people were a little concerned because they were like, oh, this is not something that we would do. But over time, it kind of get to the point whereby people they had no choice because of the lockdown. They had no choice but to do it. But it came to a point where people were like, hey, I kind of like this. And maybe I prefer to do it this way. And so that became really, really interesting for me. And so when I look at digital, I always think digital is the level. I've always believed in digital, and I have invested so many years into looking at how to get things started on digital. I spent 4 to 5 years making videos that no one watches until I came onto LinkedIn, and that was when I started growing. And now it has given me this opportunity and this position and this possibility for me to really look at how I'm able to do what I want to do, right? And so, digital is definitely the thing. The other thing is that when I look at it, I wanted to look at a 1 mil annual revenue. And I want to do it one person, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to do it all by myself. Of course, I'm going to engage people. I'm going to get people to help me to do some of the things. I can't be possibly doing everything myself. That's it. These people are not going to be part of my payroll. They are just going to be people that I will need to, for them to do some of the work for me. Right. So from like, basic design work to basic editing to providing software for my clients, and for me to be able to think about how I can help my clients put all these pieces of software together so that it makes sense for them and it's enable them to yield the kind of success that you want. And so that became more of a target for myself, and it's more of a target, in terms of financial target itself. But that's not the be all and end all, because at the end of the day, I believe that at least in my own experience, every time when I work towards something just for the sake of money, I get into trouble, right? I get into trouble whenever I do something just for the sake of money. And I'm sick of that. So I promise myself I'm not going to do that. Instead, I am going to do something that I believe to be beneficial to not just myself, but also to other people. And that's what I want to do. And so with that, I decided that I want to embark on this journey itself. And so more so than that, I wanted to make an impact. And this is when I came across the article by Facebook that they want to be trading 1 million people and small business owners across the US by 2020, which I think is a noble goal. I mean, whether they get round to doing it, that's another thing altogether. But I think the whole idea itself is noble. And when I think back, I look at it and I say that, well, yeah, I have the what, right? The what is the 1 million annual revenue. That's the score, right? That's the score. That's the thing that tells me whether, am I on track or am I totally off? And so that's more like a score itself. It's not so much the NO and BO. The next part is really the how. And the how, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be all digital. And that's my choice, right? And my choice because I believe and I strongly think that digital is the way to go, and digital is the way to scale, and digital is probably the thing that it's the leveling of the playing field, because arguably you and I have got the same access to that privileged information as anybody else, right? I mean, if you just look at Facebook ads and the ability to go into that information to get in touch with people, to know the kind of behaviors, interests, and what are they going to do, those information probably in the last 10 years or so was only available to people like big companies, but now it's available to both you and I. And for the few of us who know how to leverage that piece of information, know how to analyze and to be able to look at how we could use those information, these are the ones that really will allow us to take it to the next level, right? So how is the vehicle? And so this is where I think there is just one more component which is really, really crucial, and that's the why. That's the why, the reason, right? And for me, the reason it's more than just making a million. It's more than just having a comfortable lifestyle. For me, that reason really is I wanted to be able to do something that is aligned to my purpose here on earth. And I guess I finally figure out what exactly I'm here for and what I'm here to do. And so, if you look at this whole thing, I believe that there are 4 key elements that you and I must have. And the 4 key elements are basically this. First, you must know your purpose, why you do what you do, right? Why do you get up every morning? Why is it that you do what you do? I mean, that's something basic. That's something that you need to know. And once you know that, of course, it allows you to put things into perspective, to really think about how you are making a difference. And so that's one key aspect of it. And the second one, really, it's about proficiency. I mean, what are you good at, right? What are you good at? What is it that you you enjoy doing, you are good at, and you are continually wanting to become better. So for me, for example, one thing that I'm good at is to be able to take all this information, analyze it, synthesize it, make sense of it, and to present and to look at it and say that yes, this is where it's going, and then to present a way to navigate, to work towards the end goal itself. And so that's my proficiency. What is yours, right? What's yours? The third thing is, now that you have your purpose, you know what you're good at, are you able to make it into a profitable enterprise? I mean, besides selling your time to the highest bidder, is there a way that you could create a business, a system that it's predictable, that it's able to provide for you that income, that meaning, that energy, that you are able to do it on a day-to-day basis, and arguably for you to do it till the day you die? I mean, that's the thing. And so if you're able to do all these three, that's well and good. But the last one is, I think, is so crucial, because the last one, it's what problem are you solving, right? Because this world, it's not perfect. This world, it's broken. This world can have a better way of doing things, and therein lies the opportunity for us to come in here, to use what we know, to use what we are here for, what we are passionate about, what we're good at, and what we can make an income out of. And at the same time, we're able to solve a problem for everybody. And that's the way to go, right? And so if you want to talk to someone about this, you want to have someone walk you through in terms of how to identify the problem, make sure you stay tuned to this channel, because I'm going to be sharing with you my strategies of how I identify problem, see whether they are profitable, and then present a solution to solve that, right? And so with that, this is Melvin from the Melvin Life Show, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Bye-bye.